You still don't understand us. Every time I read the headlines, every time I watch how the West talks about China, it's the same mistake. Over and over again. You think we're trying to beat you at your own game. No, we never wanted your game. We never wanted your blueprint, your politics, your media drama, your constant need for a winner and a loser. That's not how we think. It's not how we were raised. And if you keep trying to understand us through your lens, you'll miss the real picture again. You see, China was never about the loudest voice. We are about persistence, collective will, quiet, patient force. And that confuses the West, because when something isn't loud, you assume it's weak. When something isn't flashy, you think it's behind. But what you don't see is this. The most dangerous man is not the one screaming at you. It's the one building silently while you're distracted. That's what China has been doing for 30 years. You laughed at us. You mocked our factories. You said we were just copycats. And then you woke up one day and realized we didn't just catch up. We passed you. But not because we did it the Western way. We did it the Chinese way. You wanted to beat us with stock markets. We invested in people. You exported culture. We rebuilt cities. You sold dreams. We built systems. And now you're panicking. You're labeling, banning, blocking, threatening. Why? Because deep down you can feel it. The future is shifting, and the West is no longer the only center of power. But here's the mistake. Here's the one mistake you keep making. You keep trying to control what you don't understand. Instead of learning from it, you think dominance is the goal. We think balance is the goal. You think short-term profits. We think long-term legacy. You think competition. We think coexistence. It's not that we don't care about success. Of course we do, but in China, success is not about crushing the other side. It's about rising with dignity, with roots in something ancient. Something bigger than the individual. You see, for thousands of years, we've survived floods, famine, colonization, invasion, betrayal, and still we rise. We didn't rise because we had the most powerful army. We didn't rise because we controlled the narrative. We rose because we knew who we were. We rose because we taught our children discipline, because we respected our elders. Because we believed in endurance more than instant results. That's what you don't get. Your news anchors ask, why is China so disciplined? Why do they follow rules? Why don't they rebel like us? The answer is simple. Because we value order more than chaos. Because when we fall behind, we build. When we're criticized, we focus. And when we're underestimated, we rise without shouting. But here's the truth that will shake you. You cannot stop what you don't understand. And the more you try, the more you reveal your own weakness. Look at your youth. They are tired, angry. Lost, they don't believe in the system anymore. You think your strength is in your technology, your weapons, your money. But the real strength of a nation is not in what it builds, it's in what it believes. So ask yourself this. What does the West still believe in? What do your children look forward to? Because we're not afraid of you, we're afraid for you. You've forgotten that empires fall not when they're attacked, but when they rot from within. And that's the one thing China studied very carefully. We watched Rome collapse. We watched the British Empire vanish. And now we're watching something else in real time. The American dream is cracking, but we don't cheer for that. Because when one great nation collapses, it creates chaos for everyone. And that's not what we want. We don't want war. We want wisdom. We don't want to dominate. We want to survive with strength. But survival requires respect. So listen to me closely. The one mistake you keep making is assuming we want to be you. We don't. We want to be China. Rooted in our story, guided by our ancestors, and looking forward with clear eyes, you want us to bend. We won't. You want us to break. We won't, because this is not a battle of bullets. It's a battle of vision. And in that war, we've been training for 0 years. Let me tell you something the world forgets. Fear and respect are not the same. When you fear someone, you react. When you respect someone, you reflect. And this is the deepest misunderstanding between China and the West. You fear us, but you don't respect us. You copy our products, but not our patience. You fear our rise, but not our reasoning, and that's why your policies are reactionary, not visionary. Because fear makes you act fast, but it never makes you act smart. I've watched for years now how the West handles China. Tariffs, bans, sanctions, media smears, tech blocks. It's all reaction, fear, panic, insecurity. But ask yourself, if China were really as weak as you think, why are you so afraid? Why are your governments holding emergency meetings over Chinese companies? Why are your universities debating how to contain us? You only fear what you secretly admire. And maybe that's the truth that stings, because you see discipline in us that you've lost. You see unity we still protect. You see generational thinking while your nations argue over short-term elections and ego battles. Let me explain something powerful that most people in the West never understood about us. In China, we don't separate success from sacrifice. We're not entitled to ease. We're not addicted to comfort. We grow through effort, not entitlement. A Chinese child is not told, just be happy. He is told, make something of yourself. We are not raised on self-expression. We are raised on self-mastery. And that scares you because your culture chases pleasure. Our culture endures pain. While your teenagers scroll for dopamine, ours are building businesses, studying physics, learning code. I'm not saying we're perfect. We have many problems and we never hide them, but here's the difference. We don't market our problems as freedom. We solve them quietly, steadily, systematically. That is the power of emotional intelligence at the national level. We don't scream for change, we organize it. That's how we moved 800 million people out of poverty. That's how we built entire cities in a decade. That's how we turned villages into tech hubs, not through ideology, through action. But what hurts the most is how quickly the West judges what it doesn't try to understand. You look at our government and say control. We look at your media and see chaos. You look at our population and say oppression. We look at your streets and see confusion. The truth is, both sides have problems, but only one side is humble enough to study the other. And the reason I'm saying this now is because the world is at a turning point. We are entering a global age where trust will be more powerful than tech, where discipline will beat drama, where cohesion will matter more than conflict, and China is ready. The question is, are you? Because if you keep trying to define us with fear, you'll keep missing the real opportunity, partnership. You think we want to invade, we want to innovate. You think we want to steal, we want to scale. You think we're hiding. We're healing from centuries of humiliation, colonization, and cultural theft. And now we're finally becoming what we were meant to be, a people unashamed of our power, but deeply aware of our responsibility. See, in Chinese culture, power is sacred. It's not something to show off, it's something to steward. Our ancestors taught us, the more power you have, the more silent your footsteps must become. And that's what terrifies the West. Because your system rewards noise, our system rewards endurance. Let me ask you something. Who do you trust more, the man who shouts about his greatness, or the one who works in silence, then shows you the result? That's China. We don't argue with headlines. We answer with results. While your banks collapse, we build new ones. While your cities crumble, we raise skylines. While your youth doubt everything, ours believe they can change the world, not because we're better, but because we're grounded. Grounded in centuries of culture. Grounded in philosophy that doesn't change with every election. Grounded in a mindset that says, you don't need to win the world, you need to master yourself. That's why I've always said, if you want to understand China, don't study our politics. Study our values. Study the grandmother raising 3 generations. Study the engineer working 16-hour days in Shenzhen. Study the farmer who sends his only son to Beijing so he can have a better life. That's the real China. Not what you see on Western screens, but what we live, breathe, and fight for every day. Power is not about who controls the most land. It's about who controls their emotions, who controls their energy, who controls their legacy. In 2025, you can have technology, missiles, media, banks, and still be lost. Because if you don't have vision, you have nothing. That's what I'm seeing now. The West keeps looking at us and asking, how do they grow so fast? It's not just the government. It's not just the factories. It's because we built our future from the inside out. The real revolution was not economic. It was personal. We told our youth, build your life like you'd build a bridge, with discipline, not emotion, with skill, not noise. And now, that quiet discipline is rising. But instead of understanding this, you mock it, you label it, you fear it. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. The greatest mistake the West keeps making is thinking China is trying to copy it. No, we don't want to be the next America. We want to be the first mature China. You think we're obsessed with competing. We're obsessed with completing our mission. For 150 years we were humiliated. Opium, invasion, famine, corruption, and now for the first time in generations we are reclaiming our rhythm, not to dominate, but to restore what was stolen, our dignity, our voice, our future. And I want to speak clearly now, not as a businessman, but as a father, as a Chinese man, and as a global citizen. We don't need another Cold War. We need cold minds and warm hearts, because this world is heading toward a breakdown, not from weapons, but from ego. From this false idea that domination is strength, that shouting is leadership, that control is strategy. It's not. Real power is this: the power to pause when you want to explode, the power to build when others destroy, the power to walk away from a fight that insults your intelligence, and that is where China is going. We are tired of being misunderstood, we are tired of being framed, but we are not tired of building. We are not tired of growing. We are not tired of becoming a nation that can look its ancestors in the eye and say, we did not sell our soul for approval. Let me talk now to the young people watching, especially those outside China. You are being manipulated. Your media doesn't teach you how to think. It teaches you what to fear. You don't need to agree with China. But you do need to think critically. Ask yourself, why are you told to hate what you don't study? Why are you given caricatures, not context? Why are you fed fear, not facts? The answer is simple: because an ignorant population is easy to control. But I don't want to control you. I want to challenge you, to see beyond the smoke, to listen deeper, to ask better questions, because this planet will not survive if we keep dividing intelligence by flags. There is only one future, a collaborative one, and to get there, we need emotional maturity, not just military spending. We need leaders who read poetry, not just GDP reports. We need young people who understand that becoming powerful doesn't mean becoming arrogant. In China, our ancestors said, a tree that grows too tall invites the wind. That means if your success makes you proud, you'll fall. But if it makes you wise, you'll rise. So to America, I say, we do not want war. We want wisdom. We are not your enemy. We are your mirror. What you fear in us is what you've forgotten in yourselves: discipline, patience, respect for elders, strategic silence, intergenerational sacrifice. You didn't lose your power to China. You lost it to your own ego, but you can reclaim it. The question is, are you willing to listen? Are you willing to be humble enough to learn, even from someone you once underestimated? That's the real test of leadership, and to every government listening, this isn't just about trade. It's about trust. You can't compete with a culture you don't understand. You can't lead a world you refuse to learn from. So here is my truth. I am not afraid of the West. I'm afraid of a world where everybody stops listening. Because when you stop listening, you start lying. When you stop reflecting, you start projecting. And when you stop building bridges, you build bombs. We don't need another war, we need another way, and that starts not with policy, but with perspective. It starts with you, it starts with the mirror. It starts with one honest question. What am I afraid of, and what is that fear trying to teach me? Because maybe, just maybe, what you fear in China is the version of yourself you used to be, and what you mock in us is what you secretly miss in yourself. Think about that, and maybe next time, before you say, China is the threat, ask instead, what if China is the test? The test of your humility, of your focus, of your emotional intelligence. And the only way to pass is to stop shouting and start understanding.